Hello, welcome to San Diego and to the Sandler Partners Summit 2022. Thank you all for making the trip here. And for those of you joining us online, we're so glad you could be with us as well. Today is jam-packed. We plan to fill your brains with so much valuable, actionable information that by the time cocktail hour rolls around, you'll be ready to switch them off and have some fun with your colleagues. Some of you may remember me from previous years. I'm Lindsay Janis, your Summit MC. I'm lucky enough to be with you for a third year in a row, and wow, there is never a dull moment for you and your business. From shifting the entire planet to remote work, to securing those networks, to today, and the equally critical mission of helping your clients navigate a global economic slowdown. If companies want to survive, they're going to have to get lean, and that means that you all are once again MVPs of the business world. If you don't believe it, just look at the feeding frenzy around you. Investors are desperate to get into the channel and its significant opportunities. For more on the channel, Sandler Partners, and the future, I'd like to invite to the stage one of the most kind and passionate business leaders and humans I have ever met, Alan Sandler. Alan?
Thank you, Lindsay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so nice to have the whole extended Sandler family here together in San Diego. I know a lot of you traveled far from the East Coast. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope all of you that traveled from out of town appreciate flying into Lindbergh Field in San Diego rather than the madhouse up at LAX. There's a lot of construction and confusion going on at LAX. And so, and when you think about that, it's kind of like a metaphor for what's going on in our industry with all the consolidation, right? There's a lot of M&A, there's a lot of confusion, and there's a lot of shifting of focus. So many of you probably remember all of these distributors that have all been swallowed up in the last couple of years. And maybe not as common, but some of you might know just some of the investment firms that have either invested in our space or reached out to Sandler Partners about doing a transaction. So I got a couple questions for everyone in the room. My first question, just to get a feel, show of hands, how many of you think Sandler Partners is either going to merge, sell, or take investment money in the next couple of years? Show of hands, how many? Yeah, so it seems about 50-50. Next question, how many of you would prefer if Sandler Partners remained independent and didn't do a transaction? Wow, that's so interesting. So let me take you back a couple weeks ago. It was the end of August, and I was thinking about what message I wanted to convey to everyone here in the room. And those of you that know me, total anxiety and panic. What in the heck am I going to talk to you about? Because what I was thinking was, what could I do to keep the attention of all of you so that you don't feel the need to just like email and text the whole time I'm up here on stage? And then I thought about it. And I thought, you know, everyone's talking about all the M&A and the consolidation and what's going on in our space. And so what I thought I would do today, because I needed to kind of grab and keep everyone's attention, was I thought I'd share my perspective on what's going on in the space, the consolidation, why is there so much investment, and I might give you a surprise answer about what Sandler Partners is going to do. So is everybody with me? Now, for some of you that don't know, this stage is giant. I'm up here all by myself. The lights are on me, I can barely see you. People are watching on the internet. My mom, I think, is online. So if I ask you again that same question, and all of you want lunch today, I need you to say YES in a big way. Is everyone with me? Yes! Hey, Mom, they're all here. Okay. All right. So a couple weeks ago, I came across this amazing interview by Jamie Dimon. And he started talking about companies talk about acquisition like that's what's going to save them. It's not. What's going to save us is organic growth, better products, better services, better bankers, better technology, hiring and training better people. And then he went on to say, and I love this part, organic growth is harder and better than acquisitions. Most companies don't do it because growing a sales force is hard. Most people come up with a million reasons why they don't do it. So that quote resonated with me because that's been exactly the strategy of Sandler Partners for the past couple of years. We've been organically growing our sales force and our sales support team. And you can see on all these maps, we've been growing from coast to coast, from border to border, so that all of our partners will have support in their region. And when we finally get partners in the Dakotas, we'll be able to support them also. So it's been easier for Sandler Partners to find talent recently. With all the consolidations in the M&A, a lot of top business and sales professionals are reaching out to us every day, asking about joining our team. And so we ask them and we say, why are you thinking about joining Sandler Partners? And they tell us it's actually because of all the people in the room here, all of our partners and provider partners. You guys tell them that you feel like you're part of our extended family and that Sandler has this unique, positive, uplifting culture. And this next slide shows how I really feel about the 900 new partners, not new to the industry, but new to Sandler Partners that joined the team over the last year. So thank you to all of you for sharing your positive sentiments about the culture and the spirit of Sandler Partners. I don't know, has anyone seen the movie Scent of a Woman? Great flick. And I don't know if you remember, at the end of the movie, there was this great speech by Al Pacino. And I always remembered, he said, there's nothing like the sight of an amputated spirit. There's no prosthetic for that. Sandler Partners is a community with our spirit intact. Culture, relationships, and reputation matter, and we're going to continue to invest in all of those. But that brings me back to that big question about M&A activity. Good salespeople know it's really important to have empathy, right? Put yourself in the position of the other person you're dealing with. Actually, it's important in all aspects of life. So humor me for a moment and put yourself in my shoes, here they are, and try to figure out what would you be thinking every day if a different investment firm was reaching out by phone, email, text, stopping you at channel partners, and giving you the reason why you should either sell or take their investment money if you want to survive. So it's really nice to be wanted, and it's because of all of you in the room that so many firms are interested in Sandler Partners. And so as I thought about that and all the interest, it had me thinking, am I crazy not listening to all these VCs and investment firms? Am I crazy not to think about selling or merging? So during a recent conversation with a long-time, old friend, Zane Long, SVP Global Channel Sales at Ring Central, and I was talking about the situation, and I said, Zane, am I crazy? And he said, yes. And he kind of caught me off guard. And I said, you think Sandler Partners should sell or merge? He's like, no, you asked me if I thought you were crazy. But to paraphrase the more serious part of the conversation, Zane said Sandler's strategy of organic growth is refreshing. Both Sandler and Ring Central have a long history of building from the ground up. That means focusing on the people behind our shared success, partners, customers, and employees of both our organizations. And then he went on to say, and I like this part, he said, because it's the long-standing relationships and the feeling of accomplishment that comes from working together to achieve our goals that makes our work so satisfying. And it is a great community where we always collaborate on everything, which I love. And I kind of hope, at this stage in my life, and I hope for all of you it's the same, it's really wonderful that our work does feel satisfying. But it's not just the VCs that are reaching out telling me all the reasons why I should cash out. It's our friendly competitors. The ones that sold tell me why they made the right decisions, and the ones that took investment money and made acquisitions tell me why I should let them buy Sandler Partners. And they say it's so great. You get to take a lot of money now, and in another couple of years, you get another bite of the apple. And I promise you, I'm not making this up, 3 different people said to me, in another couple of years, you get to take another bite of the apple. But those of you that know me really well personally, I prefer chocolate. So they all lay out the same M&A strategy. And then they look at me like I'm clueless. Or at least that's kind of what I'm imagining with my insecurities, that they think I'm clueless. So then I reached out to another buddy, Jim Murphy, the CEO of Broadvoice, and I asked Jim, am I crazy? And I made sure I also said not to sell. And Jim said, the channel's all about relationships, but increasingly with a lot of distributors, it's driven by private equity. You see big money and corporate oversight now driving the agenda. It's all about maximizing dollars. I like the fact with Sandler, I know the people steering the ship. They care about the customer, their partners, and they care about our success. And by the way, when it comes to caring about partners, Broadvoice takes them on award trips, like this past summer's incredible experience in Portugal. And I bring it up because the qualifications were reasonable enough that any person in this room could win the kind of trip with Broadvoice that I promise you'll remember forever. And Broadvoice was kind enough to take me on the trip, and guess who's getting a shout out? Subtle hint for any other carriers in here. So back to the merger talks. You all know I'm pretty thorough. Most of you would say neurotic, but I decided I needed the perspective from someone from a large corporation. So I reached out to Chris Jones at AT&T. And Chris didn't really take a side on the issue, but this is what he did say. Sometimes people forget all about the work to integrate the companies that have been acquired. Running the day-to-day business becomes that much harder. Given this, a merger or acquisition could actually slow down a company. So, in fact, we're already hearing a bit about what Chris describes at one company that bought up 5 or more distributors, and I've heard from several sources about disruptions for their agents, about employee reduction and turnover, and about carrier communication issues. The new company's still trying to figure out how to merge and pay commissions correctly and on time. They seem like aptly smart people, and they should eventually get it right. As of right now, as far as I'm aware, the only remaining significant privately owned independents are Sandler Partners and TBI. And I hear rumors, and I've got to say rumors so I don't get in trouble, TBI has an investment book out for VCs, distributors, and investment banks, and my guess is if he gets his price, they'll be sold in the next 6 months. And as I've been hinting, in addition to all the VCs that want to invest in or put money into Sandler, all 4 distributors that did take money have all reached out about purchasing Sandler Partners. So why share all this information? We're back to the big question. So a lot of you last night, and this has been happening, came and asked me about the rumors of Sandler Partners being on the market. So I wanted to be the first to share with all of you, we are in exclusive talks with a French conglomerate based in Europe wanting to expand into the United States called Gemon. Does anyone here speak French? Anybody? Who speaks it? Hand up. I can't believe no one in the room knows this. You know what Gemon means? It means I am lying. We are not in talks with anyone. Did any of you think for a moment we were thinking about selling? Good, because if you did, you were probably texting or emailing the last 10 minutes, then my heart would be broken. Let me be clear, as long as we can continue to run as a viable, successful company where employees want to continue to work there and they're happy, and partners want to continue to work with us, and this is heartfelt, we are not for sale, I don't want to sell, I'm not going to sell in the foreseeable future. And foreseeable future, at least 10 years, possibly many, many more. This group here, thank you. This group here is my extended family. My friendships, lifestyle, and happiness are all tied up in the business. I don't want any of that to change. So what are some of the advantages of remaining independent? One perspective comes from Rob Hale, the CEO and founder of Granite. And by the way, Rob, thanks for taking Caleb Tucker and me for a game, the Celtics versus the world champion Golden State Warriors. So one of the things that Rob said, and he was talking about both Granite and Sandler Partners, and he said, both companies are growing organically with no debt. We don't need to be satisfying investors or partners every 90 days with the quote-unquote correct quarterly results, because we're not influenced or beholden to any VCs or institutions. And then Rob went on to say, and with regard to Sandler Partners taking investment, and he was talking about Granite too, Why would you sell? If you don't need help, why would you take it? We've both created unique platforms that allow our partners to flourish and our community to thrive. So we decided, instead of focusing our time on making our financial books pretty for soulless corporate investors, and don't say I look like this guy, instead of using leadership man-hours to negotiate for investment or sale, instead of concentrating on which employees to lay off to show more profits, instead of figuring out how to pay commissions correctly from putting companies together and then apologizing to our agents and promising to get it right, we thought we would go in a different direction. We think it's innovative in our channel to continue to develop the tools and technology to allow our partners to grow and thrive. We also want to keep investing in our employee team, and most important, we want to continue to nurture the relationships with all of our partners and with all of our provider partners. So we want all of you here to know we're still here and we still care. So thanks to all of you and this amazing business that we've built together, Sandler Partners has the luxury of remaining independent. So now that I've shared all of this, please raise your hand if you feel safe and confident Sandler Partners isn't going anywhere. Okay, great. We put those rumors to rest. We're all so lucky to be in this multi-billion-dollar industry, in this channel. Yet, once again, the world outside feels a little less promising, a little more anxiety-provoking, a little heartbreaking. I'm thinking of the war in Ukraine. For example, I got to experience some of the devastation firsthand. We decided to purchase some apartments in Poland to take in some Ukrainian refugee families. And I won't forget ever spending this past summer in Poland. This woman here is a neurologist, and her husband's an architect, and their home was bombed when she was 7 months pregnant, and they moved into our apartments, and right after, they had a baby. And this gentleman, Vladimir, he was a pediatrician in Ukraine, and his family moved ahead to Poland, and he stayed behind, and for the first time as a pediatrician, he had to become a surgeon to operate on, to save the lives of children that were horrifically injured in the bombings. He sent me the most touching message, thanking all of us in our community and all Americans for standing with Ukrainians. And here are some of the Ukrainian children from our apartments, and they're in class learning Polish so they can thrive in Poland. And then here again was when we took them to Foot Locker in Warsaw, and it felt really good to bring them a little joy buying them shoes amid all the suffering. So as you know, the war in Ukraine isn't the only storm cloud. There are climate-driven disasters that are also wreaking havoc. We've got the floods in Pakistan, the drought leading to fires in Europe and across the United States. Inflation's the highest it's been in 50 years. The stock market is taking hits. And so against all of that backdrop, you may all wonder, why are so many venture capital companies wanting to invest in our space? So in a word, or actually two words, it's the cloud. You know, let's talk about that for a moment. It seems like everything and everyone is moving to the cloud. So many of our day-to-day activities, critical and mundane, are either in the cloud or supported by the cloud. And let's just use Sandler Partners as an example. We use RingCentral in the cloud for our office communications. We use email in the cloud. Wired IQ monitors our video surveillance in the cloud. Our partners use our Scout tool, commissions, training videos, marketing tools, all on our cloud portal hosted by Rackspace. TPX and NHC offer us SD-WAN monitored in the cloud. Our cybersecurity is in the cloud. Everything on the slide behind me is in the cloud, and one or more of our sponsors here today will support those. Even this event, if you think about all your travel reservations, the airline updates, tickets, baggages, registration for the event, the badge that you wear, it seems like every piece of information leading to this event is in the cloud. It's kind of like almost everything is in the cloud except for me and my note cards. So the market for cloud computing is supposed to grow from $445 billion this year to almost $1 trillion by 2026. So that means the business that we're all right smack in the dab in the middle of is supposed to grow $500 billion by 2026. So let's put that in perspective. I did the math. I just picked a bunch of companies. These are all household names, right? The total revenue for this list of companies last year in 2021 was $498 billion. Look at Tesla, $55 billion in revenue, $1 trillion market valuation. Look at Zoom, a giant in our UCaaS space, $4 billion in revenue. So let me say again, our space in the next 5 years is supposed to grow $500 billion in cloud business services, and somebody's going to have to sell it. You guys are the somebody. If you really think about it, it's a relatively small community of professionals that already know how to market, sell, and support cloud for business. And that $500 billion in revenue will probably translate to $10 trillion or more in market valuation. That's why everybody wants to invest and be in our channel space. So this rush to the cloud reminds me of another time in California history. Does anyone remember what happened in 1848 in California? Gold rush, that's right. Gold was discovered at Sutter's Mill. But you know what most people don't know? Most of the miners never made money. But the stores that sold the picks and the axes, the tools and the shovels, they made money. Wells Fargo made money delivering goods and services safely and with banking. And the miners needed durable clothes, and Levi Strauss and the general stores made money selling the clothes. And until I think 1869, when the railroads met in Utah, it was really hard to access the West. The railroads were the access providers. And I just find it interesting that Wells Fargo, Levi Strauss, and the railroads are all still around. On the other hand, let's fast forward to today. You never know which companies are going to make it. Anyone remember drugstore.com, Theranos, Jawbone, pets.com? How about Blockbuster? What about the one Mark Cuban? I think he's in hot water because his company recommended Voyager Digital, a crypto company that's in bankruptcy. Or does anyone remember Google Loon? They were going to put hot air balloons in space for internet. $125 million later, it's quietly shut down. So just like the 1850s, where the winners weren't the ones digging for Bitcoin, a Freudian slip, the ones digging for gold. The winners of this modern gold rush are going to be the ones that sell the tools and the access. Again, that's all of you. So depending on your outlook, we're either lucky, blessed, smart, or maybe a combination of all three to be in the right industry at the right time. And this is a $500 billion land grab available to a channel that's probably sold $15 billion in the last 15 years. So show of hands, who's pumped about this incredible opportunity that's in front of all of us? Me too. So I know everyone in the room and everyone online watching, you have choices about who you partner with. I want everyone to know I am so grateful, heartfelt grateful, you've chosen to take this journey together with Sandler Partners. Our whole Sandler team looks forward to growing our business and our friendships together. Thank you.